everybody, this is Jack Daniel, and I'm here to give you a little cool Python presentation. So today we're going to do a cool lesson. It says string concatenation, but that's just where it begins. We're going to learn about all kinds of stuff today. I'm going to take you from the code camp, Madlibs to, infinity and back. Let's see. Let's see. This tutorial is where we start out. I'm not going to play it. Oops, sorry about the noise. So this tutorial is going to teach you how to make the Mad Lib. That's free from Free Code Camp. And then if you want to follow along with me, we're going to be at github.com/thatjackdanieltutorials in GitHub. See right here. And then you're going to see Madlib from 0 to expert. That's what we're doing right now. And we're going to be doing number 1 here. And all 3, there's going to be 5 probably or 6 by the time it's done. But right now there's just 3. So this is the longest one. This one's going to take probably 20-25 minutes. The thing about learning programming is sometimes it takes a minute. But let's go ahead and jump in here and just smash it out real quick. So if you watched the Kylie Ying video and you made a Madlibs, then you already know about a little bit of what we're going to say here. Here's string concatenation. Basically, we're just going to make a sentence that also includes some sort of variable that we get input from the user. So if you look here, you can see there's a few ways to do this. Here, YouTuber equals Jack Daniel. I kind of expect that you know a little bit about Python at this point and that you're not a complete noob, but you understand a little bit about what's happening here, that these are tuples and this is a string, and these are curly brackets. And if you know that much, we're good. That's all you need to know. So as you can see here, all 3 of these forms print the same. But if you don't put an F statement in here, then it doesn't print the same. What's the F statement? So if you look at this really boring, long, extra Python-y looking one here, there's a lot of work here, right? And it's actually doing the same thing right here. This bracket and this thing are together here, and this becomes a little F statement here. F bracket YouTuber, right? Now, the reason it doesn't work just like this is because without telling it you're formatting it, it just prints whatever's in your curly brackets as writing, okay? As you can see here. All right, so the cells all return the exact same statement except the final one. We went through that, blah, blah, blah. So this is a basic Mad Lib in the style of Kylie Ying. It's pretty straight up. Now at the top, there's a bunch of stuff with hashtags. That's just my notes, okay? So if you don't know about that, that's just notes. If you don't know about notes, then you might need to go back and learn a little bit about basic understanding of how to work in Python before you try to build stuff, okay? Anyway, let's go ahead here. So I called these in uppercase, is what the first line here says. And you can see that right here. I put this at the end of each one of our little inputs here. So here's our input string. What we're doing is we're telling it an instance, and we say the instance equals the input from whatever's in these little tuples, right? So inside there is a sentence. Why is that? That's so that when the input box comes up, when it runs, it says choose a food adjective, semicolon, and then the input box. So it's a little fancier, and it gives a prompt to help us get the appropriate information from our user. So here you can see there's some kind of basic information we're grabbing, and we have a little short name for them. As you can see here, there's an underscore. The reason for that is because you can't put a space in an instance, so you have to use an underscore or put them together and use capitals. But I think an instance, lowercase with underscores is probably the most appropriate. All right, that way you can tell the difference between underscores and say like a function or a class or something. We'll get into that later. Don't worry about that. So basically, it's really straightforward. If you watch the other video, you know what's happening here. These are just our inputs, and you may have a similar at in Madlib. Now, right here, I gave you a place that you can go and download a PDF full of Madlibs if you want to mess with this and pick a different Madlib or whatever. It's what I really think is important is that you go through and don't just copy this out of my notebook or just run it in my notebook. Open a notebook next to it and fill it out yourself. Learn to type it in. Learn to code it to where you're comfortable and you understand what it means, not just at a glance, but coming out of your fingertips, because when you can do that, then you're coding, okay? So this is probably one of the simplest examples of a form with population that you can get. And that's probably the most important thing we're learning here is we're learning form population. So if you look here, I entered when I ran it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. so that you could see how it fills in. So here's the Mad Lib. If you remember from up here, if you put this little F and then put curly brackets, everywhere you put curly brackets, you can call something like an instance or whatever you want to call in there. It doesn't have to be an instance. It can be whatever whatever you want to call in there, you can make work inside the curly brackets. But in this case, we're just trying to fill out a form, right? So it's just going to pick the answer that equals color, or the answer that equals destination or famous person, and it's going to insert that into our sentence inside these curly brackets. So our sentence is, hi, my name is, insert a famous person, but my friends call me an adjective, and my favorite color is the color of sunset, and add a destination, and my favorite thing to do is pick a verb. You probably know me from my TV commercial for pick a product or brand name. Now, these don't have to be in the order up here that they are down here, which is neat. So you can take the information any way you want and put it in any way you want. So you notice how I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here, and answered the questions as they came, which this is the order the questions come in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? You can see them here. Here's the question, and then 1 would be the answer, and 2, okay. And so out here, right here is the output line, and it says, hi, my name is 5, but my friends call me 1. My favorite color is the 3 of sunset, and 4, and my favorite thing to do is 2. You probably know me from my TV commercial for 6. So you can see that they don't have to be in the order. It isn't my name is 1, and my friends call me 2, and my color is 3, and the sunset is 4. They can be in any order that you want, and you can even call them over and over again. It could say, hi, my name is Jack, but my friends call me so-and-so, and later on you could say, so when my friends are calling me so-and-so instead of Jack, by calling those same things again. So let's go ahead and run it. I'm sure at this point you know how to use a Madlibs, but if you haven't, go ahead and write one out like this. Hit run, and this is what happens. So we choose an adjective. Now the reason we're doing this is because it's going to fill out below. Actually, we're going to skip this one. We'll go down here. Okay, so here's a completely different Madlib. Notice where the two are the same. So if we look at the top one and we just forget about all this stuff and just pretend like this is where it begins here. We have our input form here, the same, right? And I said I called them in uppercase, so they come out uppercase, which I'll show you down here. Look, see how they stand out, so the person can see them. This is a really old-fashioned, I'm 1,000 years old, so this is like old school. Learned it in the 80s way of making type stand out so you can tell where your input answers land. So it's really simple for the user, and it's really simple to do. If you try to do an underline or something like that, you may have to do a bunch of like /33, whatever's in here, and that's kind of getting into a lot of work when you could just do it like this. This is a clean, and I feel like more Pythonic way to write the code, and then it looks better. Simple. It's simple right here. You can tell what's going on. Anyone can understand after they've put their own words in that they can see their own words coming back out. So that's simple. All right, so you could underline it or whatever. So this Madlib is built the same as the other one. We called it Madlib 2 because we have a different input here, and if we wanted to call either one, we can call them separately. We could make a million of these could be 1,000 forms or whatever, and even maybe the forms are related where you can pull the answers from the first form and blow them out into the second form's answer spaces or whatever. But as you can see here, if I go ahead and run this, Las Vegas tasty delicious taco cheeses cars. Oops. Oh, let me clear this though. Sorry, my fault. So if you don't want to use the cell, you can just clear cell output. Oops, should have done it. That's not doing it. Okay, we'll just do it. We'll satisfy it. Okay. So real quick, we're gonna go. Uh-oh, I broke it already. Dang. So Las Vegas. You don't have to write this in fancy. Oh, it helps if I type it better. That's okay. Tasty. Delicious. Choose a noun. Tire. Plural noun for food. Cheeses. I always like cheeses. I don't know why. Pick another plural noun. Goats. Okay, one of the things most tasty sports fans look forward to at American Lad Vegas, because I can't type, is eating cheeses. There's nothing more traditional than watching the delicious act of eating a hot tire drenched in mustard, relish, and goats. So here it is. It's all filled in. Now, if I write the name of any defined instance somewhere or call it, that's what I'm doing, right? Anytime I put it in somewhere, it'll give me the most recent information, or if it's blank, it won't. So here I am replacing the old inputs with the new. And as you can see right there, it was the same answer, so we got the same answer. So notice we're creating essentially a list or a dictionary in the background, except that it has no attachment like a dictionary before the program runs. This is all from input after the program runs and we receive whatever the user has given us. So we do essentially have a list or a dictionary with answers we can call up or create into a new list or a dictionary. And what I mean by that is, if you know what a dictionary is, essentially we have keys, noun, adjective, da, 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 and whatever the input is would be the answer to the keys, like in a dictionary. And then, oops, sorry about that. Then the dictionary would be called, in this case, Madlib. No, the dictionary doesn't have a name, but we can call the dictionary, okay, as a list. And we can use it in the ways that we can use a dictionary, except it doesn't have a name. So we can't call the whole dictionary, but we could call all the answers separately, like in a dictionary. So it's like a broken dictionary. So what do we do then? Well, let's make a list from the inputs, okay? So assuming the previous cells run on the variables are defined, then you can create a list of the input values. And so right here, we're going to call our list input list. You can call it whatever you want, but the reason we call it things like this is because the more logically straightforward it is, the more you can find it later and go, oh yeah, that's the list of the inputs we got from the person, right? This makes logical sense. So anyway, so here's the short names from up here, right? We just copied all these in and put commas in between, and you put them inside of brackets, and away you go. And then here is a print statement, which prints this part right there, input list, semicolon. And then right here, we print the input list. Now it's worth noting, just like up here, we don't write it like this. We can. You're going to see there's no difference. Okay, so if I do it like this, or if I go like this, and I put this in brackets. Why didn't I put me in brackets? That's weird. Okay, if I put this in brackets and add a print statement, I get the exact same thing. So it doesn't matter if I do that or not. So it saves me time and effort and code to just run it like this. Okay, and I get the same answer. So down here, we're going to do the same thing. Obviously, we could put print, brackets, and then write input list in there like this. But instead, we go like this, and we get our input list with our answers, including my misspelled Lad Vegas, right? And it prints out input list. And oops, I can't write, but let's say we do it like this. So you can see that this is a sentence that printed that says input list, and this is our input list, right? So why do we want to make it a list? Well, we make it a list because when we make it a list, it assigns from here to there the numbers starting with 0, because we have a 0 index. If you don't know about that, Google it. It takes 2 seconds to understand. Basically, the numbers start with 0 instead of 1. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's 6 instances here, but it goes 0 through 5. So if I call number 3, it's 0, 1, 2, 3. It would be whatever's in noun 2 will give me the answer back, which in this case is 0, 1, 2, 3, tire. So let's go ahead and look at that. An example of accessing individual items from the list. So we're going to make a print statement. Fancy format here, right? Fifth item in the list, input list, item number 4. So this is our curly brackets, right? So we're filling in the blank with the words that come. Then we're telling it from the input list, call the 4th word. We put that inside brackets. Now, here we're going to use a slice. If you don't know about slices, maybe Google that as well. But it's okay. I'll give you a basic breakdown real quick. So we're printing an F statement, and we're going to print the first 3 items in the list. So we tell it from the input list inside our curly brackets that we want inside of regular square brackets 0 through 3, which would be 0, 1, 2, I believe. Okay. So it doesn't print the top number. That just tells it where we're stopping. So let's print it. So we get the 5th item in the list. 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Cheeses. 4. 5th item in the list. 5th item in the list. Hopefully this makes sense from the 0 number. That's the only part that's complicated. It starts with 0 instead of 1. Silly, I know, but zeros and ones. It's binary. So the first 3 items in the list, we got curly brackets again. Input list, curly brackets 0 through 2, basically. 0, 1, 2. We get Las Vegas, tasty, delicious. So now that we know how to do that, and we could call something from numbers. Now this is powerful. I'm not sure if this makes sense to you, why this is powerful, but if this was a medical form or something, we could assign numbers to the username and the address and say, give me all the addresses, give me all the names, give me all the phone numbers, whatever you want it to do. Or you could tell it to populate a form and give me 0, 1, and 6, the first name, the address, and the phone number, so I can call them and make sure their address is right, or whatever it is you're trying to do. So you can see how it could become powerful if you know how to do things with it. And then on the front end, these numbers become checkboxes or whatever, but that's for another day. So creating a dictionary works like this. So we name the dictionary, in this case, input dictionary. And then here, you can do this as a string long ways, but it's more Pythonic to build it like this. I think it looks better to drop a list down. So we have the name of the key and the answer, which in this case is our name of our Madlib instance. Bink. So we just go through and name those, beep, 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 beep. And then here we're just telling it to print this sentence. And then here, print input dictionary. But as we know, we don't need to do it that way, so we'll do it this way. Oh, no, that's right. It's a dictionary. I'm wrong. Look at me being wrong. That's right. I forget it's not a list. Okay. So print input dictionary. So you can see the difference there. I guess I can skip that lesson because you figured that out right away. So with a dictionary, you have to fancy print it to get the dictionary list. If not, what happened was, if you see what it does is it actually prints the code to the dictionary. It prints the dictionary. There's the actual dictionary. That's pretty much, if you made this an equal sign, the dictionary, you could just copy this and then paste it somewhere and turn that into an equal sign, and you've got the dictionary. Neat, but not what I had wanted to do. So let's go back and just print it. Okay, so you can see here how you have the same 6 things in the same order, but now they have a fancy name assigned to them, right? And you could actually create multiple instances that all call from this name. You know, we could go key 1, input dictionary 2, input dictionary 3, and it would ask for these same keys. It would know these keys are in all the dictionaries, so each dictionary could be a user. And you could use that in like medical forms or picking up people's names for social networking and that kind of stuff. So that's the point. So here's the example of accessing individual names from the dictionary. So we've got an F statement again, and we print the 5th word from the dictionary. In this case, we just put input dictionary, and because it's a dictionary, you have to write it out all long and strong like this through square brackets. So it's really a pain, I think, to access multiple items from a dictionary versus, say, accessing the same items from a list, which is why it's important to, I think, create both. So here we have the same amount of output, but look at all this code compared to when we did it with the dictionary or with the list. With the list, the code ends here, and with the dictionary, it ends way down here. So you can see how that's kind of a pain. So anyway, when we print it, we still get everything the same like we expect to. Cheeses, all the names come. So it works just like the list did. But as you can see, it's a lot more work in the back end and a lot more typing. So it may be smarter to use lists if you don't have to use dictionary. So let's add these elements back into the code from the original Madlibs to see what that looks like as a complete thing. And wow, it's not much different, is it? So here's our inputs through here, right? And hopefully you recognize all that, calling uppercase. And then this line here, this little tiny line is our list. This is our input dictionary, and it could be one line, just all the way down here with commas in between everything. But this is the fancy way to write it so you can see what's in there. Then down here we have our Madlib. Now we can pull items confidently because we know we've created a list and a dictionary with our instances. So you don't have to run this cell if you've been following along and doing what I've been doing, because we just made Madlib 2. We just made an input list called input list from it, and we made an input dictionary called input dictionary. So everything that's in here is in here. The inputs are filled out, and we have all this, so we can go past this to the next cell. If you run this, you're going to refill out everything, which you may be finding out already if you're the type of person that jumps ahead. Now, we can pull items from it confidently because we know we've created a list in a dictionary with the same identities or identifiers we use to name our instances, which is pretty neat. If you didn't try out the code above, at some point, run it and fill in the blanks. But we know you probably did run it, so just skip ahead and just hit Shift Enter in this one, and you'll get your input list and your input dictionary one above the other, and then you'll get to see that the answers line up Tire, tire, cheeses, cheeses, goats, goats. So what's in the fifth position here is in the fifth position in the dictionary. But the dictionary has a simple way for you to look for it. If you know the name in the back end is plural noun, you don't have to know it's called cheeses. And that's what's important here. And if you don't know the name is plural noun, you should make a list because then you can know number 4. And that's why it's important to do both. Now, finally, this is an alternative but powerful option for creating essentially the exact same populated form, which is to use an alphanumeric number system like this. Now, I will call these A numbers. Nobody probably does that. It's just something that I do. Usually I call them A nums when I'm doing shorthand for myself and my my notes for myself so I can remember. There's probably some other way to do it, and I probably knew about it and forgot it by now. But anyway, I call them A numbers. So right here, you'll see A1 through 6. And all we did was we replaced these names that used to be there, noun equals, adjective equals, with the numbers A1 through A6. So let's look at this one to see the difference. So these all say A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6. And they don't have to be A. Like we have 3 nouns and 3 adjectives, so or 4 nouns and 2 adjectives. So it could be like N1, N2, N3, N4, and A1 and A2, or whatever. But it's simpler to me to just keep it on one alphanumeric thing because you can make an infinite number of numbers off of A. So we go A1 through 6 there. Hopefully that wasn't too much for you. Let me start over. So we replace the instance names with a simple number, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, or A6. And then down here in the dictionary, we have to replace those places we look for the answers to our input with those as well, because here we've changed the input instance name. Okay. So now to create a list, all we have to do is this. And in the Madlib, all we have to do is just write A1, A2, A3 for whatever answer we want. And we know which answer is which because we created a dictionary, which lets us cheat on the backside. Plus, we could look here, right, and say, oh, the event place is A1. The first adjective is A2. The second adjective is A3. So let's go ahead. Circus, icy, exciting milkshakes, policemen, chickens. Circus, icy, exciting. I don't know if I did it. Food now. I forgot what it was. Let's see. Taco. Plural noun related to food. Um, Tortillas goes with tacos. And a plural noun. That must have been policeman. Okay, so now we have one of the things most icy sports fans look forward to at American Circus is eating tortillas. There's nothing more traditional than watching an exciting act and eating a taco drenched in mustard, relish, and policeman. So now it's not only ran our list and printed it, but it's ran our sentence and printed it, or our form, and printed our input list with the answers and our input dictionary with the answers, all from one instance. So this gives us 4 very unique ways to get the data. And as you can see here, the input dictionary still comes back the same way it did before. It just pulls the answers from these A numbers. And let me just go ahead and show you one more thing that I guess I didn't put in here, which is like I probably did, but just in case. Like if I just go A2 now, I get the word. So I can insert that anywhere I want, like we did inside the list here. In anything else, and it pulls A2, A2. Now, this may be confusing as a human being, but to a computer, it just needs A2, and it just remembers A2. So if we look at our dictionary options here, it gives us 4 very unique ways to access exactly the same user data, or gives us 3 separate unique identifiers that all work in different ways. It can be incredibly useful to have the data as a dictionary, list, and as shorthand alphanumeric instances that allow the machine to use the data without the need for human-friendly identifiers. So here's our dictionary inputs one at a time, the A numbers, the input list command, and then inputs, we'll call this calling the inputs by slice, but we just did all at once, or by input number, but we pull all 6. So what this means for us is that we have a very simple way that we, the developer, look at for data in essence through the input dictionary or the input list column. And we have a very technical way for the computer to use the data that it understands because it doesn't need fancy labels. So it can utilize these alphanumeric systems. And then lastly, we can use simple list names or simple dictionary keys for a way for the user or developer to access the data, giving us a lot of useful ways to utilize the same information. So I thank you so much for learning with me on this. And be sure to check out my Madlib Pandas DF example for an intermediate tutorial on this. There's a level 2 that we take this to where we're going to make fancy data frames. We're going to take this thing to the top. By the time we're done, you're going to make databases. You're going to be able to take multiple users' information and all from this simple Madlib. If you want to learn Python in a way that's simple and understandable, I highly suggest watching these videos. Thank you so much. Thanks again.